If you don't understand this one thing about 10, 20, 50x cryptos, then you're blind. In crypto, you aren't trading coins, you're trading narratives. And the next narrative is obviously gaming. DeFi, NFTs, metaverse, AI, every time some narrative goes mainstream, investors start flooding in with dumb money, sending the price up. We've seen it happen every time. And if Bitcoin hits a new all-time high and gets investors grasping for the next popular narrative, it might just happen again, this time with gaming. But before you get too excited, here's what we've also seen. The dumb, blind money is always too late. If you want to make those 10, 20, 50x gains, you never ever follow the dumb money. You predict where it's going and you get there first. That way you can ride the pump as that money floods in. And that starts with the narrative. That's exactly what the next big gaming coins like Mavia are taking advantage of right now, and you can too. In this video, I'm going to explain how these narratives work, how they fuel dumb money, and the exact tokens that this money is going to flow towards. That way, you can get there early this time. Take a look at this trade I just made. Perfect example of an enter and exit to make a nice profit. Last month, I bought Ergo at $1.19. Immediately, I notified the Finova community about my purchase. Then, less than a month later, the price hit $2.17. That's when I sold for an 82% profit. That trade and the 82% profit would have been yours if you were a member of our Finova Patreon last month. We finally have spots open again, so go ahead and join in the description below. So if you want to predict where the dumb money is going to go, you've got to understand how these narratives work. And if you don't understand this, you might as well set your money on fire right now just to save the pain, so just pay attention to this. The narratives behind DeFi, NFTs, and the metaverse have each individually driven mass amounts of money into all sorts of coins, big and small. The people who got there first, they obviously make all the money. The reason for this is super simple. See if you can spot it. Starting with DeFi. People believe finance needs to be changed. It's a broken system with billions of users all around the world. It just doesn't make sense that it is the way it is. So the DeFi narrative catches on super easily because there's something in it that just makes sense. There's a truth there that makes sense. And this reminds me of a key principle of propaganda. If you want an idea or a message to proliferate around the world, it must be rooted in some fundamental truth. If it's not, your message, it's either going to die quickly or never take off in the first place. The DeFi narrative so easily spreads around the world because you can essentially ask anyone, does banking suck? And nearly everyone will go, yeah. Okay, so moving on. People believe digital ownership will also be a thing in the future. Just look at the value of consumer data and how it doesn't really make sense that we don't own our own data, yet it's ours, nor do we have any robust system for owning digital assets. So the NFT narrative, it catches on because it makes sense. And something interesting to note about the NFT narrative, that is slightly more complicated to get behind than the DeFi narrative. DeFi, you can just go like, banking sucks. Yeah, I could get behind a better system. NFT, it's slightly more complicated. And that means it likely won't become bigger than DeFi because simplicity really matters in this messaging. Now, people also believe that the metaverse is going to be a big part of the future. They see these big companies like Meta and Apple moving in that direction. So the metaverse narrative catches on as well. But why? They're believable. They're ideas based in just enough believable evidence. Evidence that dumb investors filled with FOMO will quickly jump on. That means the tokens and investments that tie into those narratives will go up as a result, pumping the price for the players who were there already waiting in the first place, who saw the events in the horizon. They saw it coming. Now I'm going to give you some of those tokens in a second, but what you need to understand right now is that it takes just a few catalysts like mainstream recognition or Bitcoin hitting new price milestones and these believable narratives start getting a whole lot of attention. This stuff, it's really that simple. The best narratives just make sense. They're obvious. They're things that make the most sense. Millions of people have to believe in it and have to look at it and go, yeah, that makes sense. So it has to be a thing that simply just makes sense. And I do want to make a clarification. Dumb money isn't dumb because they're investing in narratives. That's what the smart money is doing as well. It's actually the smartest thing dumb money can do is invest in the narratives. What the dumb money is doing wrong is they're getting in way too late, way after the party's already over and the gains have been made. They should have just been there earlier and they should have the discipline to not jump in too late. That's what you want to avoid. Now, this whole narrative thing is exactly what's going to happen with crypto gaming. If you don't believe me, ask yourself a few questions. Does the gaming industry attract a lot of money? Does it have an obvious use case, like entertainment, having fun? Does it seem likely that it'll be a big part of the future? The answer to all these questions is a resounding yes. Right now, the game crypto market cap is around $25 to $30 billion. That seems big, but it's actually tiny compared to the wider video game market, which in 2022 was sitting around $217 billion. Crypto gaming is a tiny little fish ready to grow into this huge ocean of video games. And people sense this, they feel it. You don't even really have to think about it. It's one of those things that just feels obvious that crypto could be a massive part of gaming, an economic part of gaming. Now listen, this is an important part because I can't stress enough that dumb money, they won't be thinking about these things ahead of time. Dumb money is going to be feeling FOMO and flooding in the direction of tokens that do the thinking for them. What do I mean by this? What looks like a safe bet in gaming right now, specifically in crypto? The game is fun. First, it's not a crypto that happens to be a game. It's a fun game that happens to utilize crypto. That's a big mistake of the early crypto games and how they were facilitated. They just felt like a total cash grab. They weren't fun. I never played a fun one 2 years ago when they first started coming out. And the fans, they kind of hated it. And then the second safe bet is tech or a platform that can help make fun games within the crypto space. Now, this could be tools, marketplaces, anything. Does it make a game fun? It's that simple. Those coins can do very, very well in the next narrative-based run. These are the obvious zero thinking choices that dumb money has to float towards. Remember, with all of these though, you want to be as early as possible. That's where you really make the money. But right off the bat, you'll notice that AVAX is a strong pick for money to flow to during this narrative drive. And the reason for this is its robust ecosystem that's attached to games like Off the Grid, which itself is going to be a huge part of the crypto gaming narrative bull run. It looks good, it plays well, and it's likely to get mainstream adoption from platforms like Xbox. And then on top of that, it's got involvement from sci-fi director Neil Blomkamp and has solid early feedback from popular guys like Dr. Disrespect. So it's checking a lot of those boxes to absolutely pop off during this run. So when you look at the details, you can see the bandwagon that dumb money is going to jump on. Off the Grid, it puts its economy and progression on avalanche. So when there's a pump, AVAX is going to be the one to watch as it could get seriously high as people hop on this narrative from this game and other related games. I think it could potentially push AVAX as high as a $40 billion market cap. I'd also keep an eye on Off the Grid developer Gunzilla and their in-game currency, the Gun token. Once it's released, that could see people trying to hop on as the game increases in popularity. Another one that will be a magnet for dumb money is Mavia. Again, put yourself in their shoes. Heroes of Mavia is that. It's a fairly solid Clash of Clans clone that'll be another bull run beacon. It already has over 270,000 daily active users and 2 million downloads. Dumb money is going to spot this and they're going to consider it a safe bet. So keep an eye on the Mavia token, which has definite potential to grow well beyond its $220 million market cap as people flood into this project. And by the way, I feel the need to say this every time I talk about a smaller project. I do not take any sponsors whatsoever from any coin or token. I never have, I never will. I do all of this research and make sure I just have the best picks and research possible for these videos. No sponsors on any coin or token ever. That's extremely important to me. Now, when you're looking at these narrative drives, all that really matters is whether people believe that these are a viable investment target. So we can enter it before the masses find it and we can make a profit. Another gaming crypto I'd like to look at is Seedify Fund. Seedify is essentially a support system and launchpad for gaming. Instead of being a game itself, it's helping launch them. While it isn't as strong as AVAX or Mavia, it could be a sleeper hit that you definitely need to look into. When dumb money has exhausted those other two, more attractive gaming adjacent projects, this is the kind of project that they'll be looking to diversify into. So I wouldn't be surprised if it at least pumps during the next bull run. Even better is Immutable X, which I think has serious, absolutely massive potential. It's tied to games like Gods Unchained, which I talked about long ago, but that has some legitimacy built in because it's listed on the Epic Games Store. Again, when the narrative pops off, dumb money is going to look for signs like this. They're going to look for credibility. They're going to look for where the money has already been flowing, and they're going to start investing. The signs are there to start looking at this stuff seriously, and there's always multiple ways to make money here. Similar to Off the Grid, Gods Unchained, it has its own currency, Gods, which could also be a nice little wild card hit during the next crypto gaming pump. Any of these tokens would be the ones I'd be looking to get into early if I wanted to make some money during that gaming narrative run. That's all for today. Love you. Goodbye.